So I watched all of Season 1 of the Devil May Cry anime on Netflix, and as a fan of the DMC series since the very first game, I have to be totally honest with you. I have to say, man, I don't know how to say this, but it actually blew my mind with how good it was. It was completely entertaining the entire time, and I ended up binging the whole season in a single evening. What's going on, everybody? I'm Rez, and on this video I'm going to give you a full breakdown of the Season 1 DMC Netflix anime series and how a lot of things that you may not like actually tie into the story a lot more than you think. It's actually paying a lot more respect and homage to our beloved series. Also, if you're obsessed with Rabbi, the White Rabbit villain from the season who was voiced amazingly by Hoon Lee, then I have another video actually explaining all about this character and how he's canon from the Devil May Cry lore. I know many others have different feelings about this, but I assure you that when I look at their videos and see what their complaints are, it's obvious that they don't really know about the lore. That actually helps you understand how the anime really ties into the series. So whether or not you enjoyed the show, this video will give you all the info you need to know on how the show is actually a lot more canon than you'd think. The anime itself is inspired by the graphic novel of Devil May Cry titled the same name, which is confirmed by the creator to be the first canon appearance of Dante. So far back that he doesn't even go by the name Dante. He goes by the name Tony Redgrave, and he's a mercenary for hire in Redgrave City. The anime also pulls from the Devil May Cry manga that was set before the events of Devil May Cry 3, which is supposed to be a prequel to the video game series. So in order of the timeline, it's the graphic novel, the manga, then DMC 3. Nobody has ever mentioned this, but the graphic novel is set a year before DMC 3, but the only time it's ever mentioned is when Dante says to Vergil, "It's been a year since we last met," when they first meet in Devil May Cry 3, on Mission 7.
Whatever. At any rate, it's been a whole year since we last met.
But that moment is never talked about again in the game, nor is it ever mentioned in any flashbacks. This graphic novel actually introduces characters you'll see in the anime such as Enzo, Dante's mercenary manager, and this is even the first time Dante's love for strawberry sundaes is written about, as Dante hangs out in a local dive bar where he gets mercenary jobs. But those jobs are actually secret demon hunting jobs that other mercs won't take, often due to the high risk. The novel even goes into detail about how Dante was always breaking guns and how he ended up with ebony and ivory. I'll have another video all about that on the channel, so go check that out because it's going to be full of devil sauce. So the show itself is full of action from start to finish, and they certainly didn't pull any punches. It's not one of those shows where they like throw or toss enemies around to avoid killing or whatever, because this season goes in from the very beginning and is full of blood, guts, and gore as any good devil hunting story contains. The voice acting in this series is amazing so far, and they actually use real voice actors rather than hiring a bunch of Hollywood A-listers, you know, that pretty much take up all of the show's budget. I mean, we have my personal absolute favorite voice actor of all time, Kevin Conroy, who perfectly voiced the Batman in the animated series, and the Justice League, and so many more examples. I actually have a documentary on my channel that I made about Kevin Conroy, so if you're a huge fan of his work like me, then be sure to check that out. Kevin was the voice of the religious vice president who happened to assemble his own ragtag team of demon hunters. It's funny, because at first I was thinking, I remembered that Kevin was in the show, but as I was watching, for some reason I totally forgot, and I was thinking, is this like Steve Blum or something like that? And then as I kind of started to think about it, I was like, oh wait, that's Kevin Conroy, holy sh**, he nailed this. We also have Johnny Young Bosch voicing Dante, and he was always one of my top tier favorite voice actors because I grew up with Bash the Stampede from Trigun, and he was always one of my favorites, hence the red coat, I mean the pistols, come on, just totally fits. And he was also the Black Power Ranger and Ichigo from Bleach, and let's not forget, he was the iconic son of Vergil, Nero from Devil May Cry 4. Every single episode is packed with plenty of action, and I think people brush past that when they have their criticisms. Whenever I see other reviews of the show, not one person ever mentions that it's not boring at a single point. But really, there isn't a single boring episode, and I've not seen one person say that they were ever bored in the show. There wasn't a single time where I felt the yawns or thought that they were yapping too much. No, not at all. It's perfectly balanced with action and storytelling with a great deal of character development in a single season. Now, people have some complaints about Lady because she has a pretty hefty potty mouth in this season, very noticeable cursing, and it's a bit excessive and maybe even a little bit corny. But I don't by any means think that that completely ruins the show's writing or its dialogue writing itself. Not at all, they did a great job. We also have to remember that these characters are already starting off on what seems to be a prequel age, and in the prequel game of Devil May Cry 3, Dante was only like 19 while Lady was like 17. So for two orphans who barely had parents in their lives, who have been glazed by soldiers and mercenaries for their skills all their lives, if they act a little angsty, it shouldn't be surprising at all. Not to mention she grew up having to stab her dad while her dad was eating her mom's face. Sorry if she says a bad word or two, I mean, hold on, if cursing is really one of the worst things of this season, I mean, I get that it was annoying, but it doesn't ruin the whole show. I mean, are you a bunch of angry moms or something like that? Are you a bunch of angry moms of gamers or anime fans? You all sound like a bunch of mad old moms. Like, get a grip. Take a look at yourselves, man. I mean, come on. Maybe try watching it again and while you eat a strawberry sundae so you're not so fucking sad. Don't be depressed anime Dante. Be fun Netflix anime Dante. If you're worried about Dante being weaker in this series, it's because he hasn't always unlocked his devil trigger. Even in the old novel and the mangas, he was very much vulnerable. He would get shot up, stabbed up, and everything like that, and it would slow him down. It wouldn't necessarily. He wasn't just invulnerable. He wasn't just like a god, you know? I mean, not to mention in the show, he is fast and strong. People will always complain because, like, oh, Lady was able to keep up with him, but yeah, she's a badass even in the games and in the stories and all that. She's able to a degree keep up with Dante. It's canon that she's able to keep up with Dante. I mean, sure, maybe not when he's in full out serious mode, but when he's really not paying attention, which is like 90% of the time because he doesn't really put his all into it unless he's really up against a threat that's a challenge to him, then yeah, she's gonna be able to keep up with him. She hunts devils, dude. I mean, of course she's gotta be a tough chick. Anyway, as we already know from the trailers they released before the show, this season centers around Dante Sparda and Mary Arkham, also known by Dante as Lady. Two sides at odds, one of the human world and one with the blood of the demon realm coursing through his veins. Both of these characters meet in Devil May Cry 3, a video game titled Dante's Awakening, which is a prequel to the first Devil May Cry video game. This game tells the story of Dante's beginning in Redgrave City, as a young devil hunter opening up a demon hunting shop that he hasn't even picked a name for yet. In this game, Lady's father, Arkham, and Dante's older twin brother, Vergil, are about to bring chaos to the human world, but Dante and Lady have to stop them before it's too late. Now, this isn't the story in the anime, so they're not following the beat of the games exactly, but what they change is tasteful. In the anime, they actually change up the story where the demons are actually trying to escape from hell, because Mundus, the main antagonist from Devil May Cry 1, is actually weeding out all of the weak demons with a toxic gas. During some flashback scenes, we get to see Dante and Vergil fight as kids, and that to me was so great to see as a longtime fan. We get to see a perfect example of the rivaling demon-blooded brothers. It shows their complex relationship was always full of complicated emotions stemming from the most traumatic night of their lives. The show did an amazing job doing its own thing, and it requires a bit of lore digging to understand just how much it actually ties into the canon series of Devil May Cry. The world itself is extremely colorful, and the animation is as stylish as Dante feels. I mean, if you watch this on a 4K TV, you're gonna love all the colors and the lighting they do in the daytime or the nighttime scenes, inside or outside, it doesn't matter. Everything looks so damn cool. Now, there's some gripes about the CG scenes and some of the animation, but I think we're so spoiled in this day of animation that we've gotten a little bit crazy and we've gotten far too picky. We just need to accept that there's not going to be 1950s Disney hand-drawn smooth animation anymore, and Season 3 of Invincible I think proved that. I mean, the biggest show in the world on Season 3 looked pretty much just as good as the Devil May Cry first season, so let's give it a break. I mean, this is only Season 1 of the series and it did a great job, and I do personally think that this is going to get better and better over time. There's an amazing amount of Easter eggs, hints, and homages to so many scenes from the games, a large variety of characters from the manga and graphic novels. Everyone gets a moment to shine. No matter when you jumped into the DMC fandom, no matter what series you started or when you started playing the games or whenever, you can come from any of the different areas of entertainment that feature Dante in the world of Devil May Cry, and you'll still feel right at home. I think that everyone can find something that they love in this series regardless of when they started reading or playing, or any point that you started in the Devil May Cry fandom. You're gonna find something that you love about this show. You're gonna find something that they respect. You're gonna find something that they put some love into. They even managed to put characters from the worst game that everybody hates, Devil May Cry 2, and make them part of some of the coolest scenes of Season 1. From Lucia being one of the demon hunters captured to hunt Dante, to the sorcerer, business mogul, tycoon madman who was the main antagonist of the second Devil May Cry game, everyone hated that game, but I thought this was such a cool way to put them in there. From familiar good characters to plenty upon plenty of familiar villains, there's so much that's gonna have you flipping out. There's so many unexpected things that happen. I was really impressed with the writing and the story and how they kind of merged everything together and kind of mixed all these stories and timelines together to make their own special storyline and timeline. Not everything is going to be the same as the video game, things change over time, but that's good storytelling. You don't want the same movie every single time. When you have a sequel or you have something new and fresh, or a reboot or a revamp, you want something a little bit new and different.
Not in a million years.
They did a good job at making their own thing unique, and I do stand by that. In my last video I mentioned how I thought they were going to do the classic demon world joins the human world, but they did, but they changed it from the games in the best way that ties in the manga and the graphic novel. And again, these stories are confirmed by the creator to be canon, so the anime actually pays more respect to the series than people are giving it credit for. They changed the dynamic of the story in a completely tasteful way, and it makes this adaptation stand out to be something of its own, which I do very much appreciate, especially as being a longtime fan from the very first game when it came out. They make you see the side of the demons in hell that are trying to cross into the human world, and they connect everyone's story and struggle to intersect together. From Dante's backstory to Lady's, and even the White Rabbit has a connection to the lives of the two demon hunters. If you want the same exact story at the games told in the same way all over again, then, you know, that's just going to be boring to people. And that's also going to make people feel like they should be writing the stories themselves, which, no. All of the differences in the series are well done and they're respectful, and I've not seen anyone on YouTube make a legit argument about what the problems actually lie within the series are. It seems to be a lot of people just copy and pasting whatever Moist Critical says about the show, and he didn't even watch it all when he decided to say something about it publicly, and he said he was watching it when he was having a bad day. So, I don't know. I think you should form your own opinion, and I enjoy him and I enjoy his content, but the anime is far from disappointing to a long DMC fan like myself. I don't think it's bad at all, I don't think it's disappointing, and I think that people should give it a full proper chance before they really judge, and also maybe even do a little bit of lore research and understand that it really does put respect on the name of Devil May Cry and Dante Sparda. I was nerding and geeking out the entire time, and I felt like nothing and nobody in this series was disrespected in the least, and I've been a fan since the very start, man, I'm telling you. Again, I know people are mad about Lady's potty mouth and Dante's lack of full demon power, but those of you who are late to the party need to know that the entire third game is literally about Dante awakening his demon power, because he never did before, except for a small moment in the manga. I mean, in this anime we get to see Sparda fight for the first time ever. Even doing 1% damage to an enemy from Sparda is more than we ever saw in any of the games. The character designs are different from the video games as well, but I think they're amazing and they look great. Like Dante's Devil Trigger looks badass. The character designs are different from the video games, but again, I do think they're very tasteful. Dante's Devil Trigger looks very badass. Vergil's Devil Trigger looks a little bit similar to Nilo Angelo, but we'll go into that a little bit more. It looks like a combination between Nilo Angelo and what his anime Devil Trigger would be. Unless that's just straight up his anime Devil Trigger, it does kind of make sense because even in the games, he does Sin Devil Trigger rather than regular, because he's mastered his Devil Trigger so much. I think that all they're trying to do is just flesh out these characters a little bit more, make them a little bit more relatable with the times now, because I do see people saying that it is weird that, you know, the political part, like some people have tried to say that the series has been a little bit political, but look, just because they have a goofy looking president, because one of the guys is a vice president or whatever, that doesn't mean that it's being super political. And also, if you look at anything now, really, I mean, everything to appeal nowadays gets political. I mean, look at The Boys, look at Invincible, look at literally Daredevil, you know, Born Again. So many things that are coming back to the limelight or being in the limelight have politics in it because we're in such a political age right now. Another thing that people point out is that Lady was on a supersuit team of devil hunters, but honestly that didn't bother me at all. I think this is supposed to be like a little bit like Resident Evil, where it gives her a little bit of character development. Everyone that Lady and Dante has grown close to, they've lost. So I think that's just this harsh reality that we see of a devil hunter. Just like in Raccoon City, which they do a little tasteful mention to, which I love that. Lady and her team, you know, dealing with the hardships that they dealt with, and Lady dealing with the loss of her team, I think that's very relatable to the aspect of a devil hunter. I think that shows the vulnerability of a devil hunter, the fact that they do lose everyone close to them and that really no second is guaranteed for them, and also the fact that they live that lonely life and they're losing everyone around them, but they can relate to that with each other, having lost their entire family. It just makes sense more than it is a problem. Also, the supersuit is an homage to a graphic novel character from the Devil May Cry series. Dante's second ever partner and friend named Beryl rocks a similar metal suit, and she even wielded the spiral gun from Devil May Cry 3. So again, if you're a huge DMC nerd, then you'll appreciate this because hopefully this information will make you a little bit more comfortable with all these anime series changes. In fact, at this point, I really do honestly feel like the show is made by people who love the series and were honestly true fans themselves. You can argue that all you want, but they brought back fun characters, they showed Sparda actually fight for the first time in DMC DMC history, and they even let characters in the worst game get important screen time that didn't ruin any shine for the main characters. Now, something I really want to mention here that makes this series really stand out. There's a total of 8 episodes, and before the last episode, there's one episode that's done in a similar style to Genndy Tartakovsky, the creator of Samurai Jack, Primal, and the animated Clone Wars saga. They made an entire episode with practically zero talking, but total beautiful origin story of both the White Rabbit and Lady that tied together beautifully. This honestly separates the anime from the rest of the Devil May Cry storytelling, and not in a bad way. I think people are just slightly off-put by the change in writing, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Look, we did the same thing with the DMC reboot back in the day, and now everyone appreciates the game more, but they hated it when it came out, just because of some minor differences. Sure, some of them were totally unnecessary, Vergil Sparda, but some were tasteful and well done. Some showed more of a relatable story that could happen in this reality, kind of fleshing out and giving more depth to the characters themselves. I guess you could say showing a little bit more of their human side. Also, I think the DMC reboot had some of the best level designs in all of the Devil May Cry history. While Devil May Cry 5, I'm gonna be honest, has some of the most boring level designs in the entire series in my opinion, I get bored playing the Devil May Cry 5 levels. The coolest one to me in Devil May Cry 5 is that one where you're in the city center, but even to me, that still is kind of reminiscent to the DMC reboot when you fought that guy who was like that TV news anchor, which again, amazing level design. Come on, you cannot tell me that you didn't have so much fun playing that game, and them kind of changing it to both a puzzle platformer kind of thing with the levels. I thought that was pretty cool. The mixture of like the demon world and the human world and the whole being in limbo, that shit was cool. So before we crap on this series and ruin its rep and have to wait another 10 years for another series or game because of all the hate, let's not do with the anime what we did with the reboot. We can't do this again, because in another 5 or 10 years, we're all going to be shooting ourselves in the foot. We're all going to be hating and regretting that we said that, because we might have something worse in the future, or maybe there's just going to be things that we don't get. Maybe we don't get another thing for years, and then we're going to be stuck wishing we had another piece of Devil May Cry lore, history, or games to play. If you have any complaints about the show, I really need to ask this. What are you comparing it to? Like, what did you want? A copy and paste from the game? I mean, that's not really good writing. That's lazy. We should be happy with this because it could have been way worse. We could have had Resident Evil bad. And again, I love that reference that they did with Raccoon City with that comment from Enzo when he said he gave that bad job to Dante about Raccoon City. That was fucking awesome. I love that. That was sick. Also, Devil May Cry 5 has that stupid Michael Jackson dance scene. You know, that stupid hat that Dante wears. It's stupid. It's horrible. It's very cringe. Also, the Devil Trigger song sucks. I'm sorry, but that song is so cringe as well. I don't like it. It doesn't fit. Devil May Cry 3 had the best music and the best feel when it came to like how Dante and everybody, you know, how that world's devil hunter operates. But all in all, the anime seems to be mixing together all the best parts from all the different ways they've told the stories of Devil May Cry. The timeline also seems to be a mix of the stories all set to a new beginning, as we have to remember this is a new beginning for the Devil May Cry series. For all we know, Season 2 will have even more connection to the original series, as we know Vergil will be making a huge appearance in what seems to be the main antagonist this time. Which also lines up well because in the manga, Dante faced off with Rabbi far before he faced off with Vergil. One thing I really liked from the ending was when Rabbi sliced Dante's hand away from saving his fall from the bridge, because it was just like the scene from Devil May Cry 3 when Vergil was slicing Dante's hand away with his katana. That was a sick homage and I really appreciate it, and it seemed to be one of the major hints of the battles to come. At least I think so, because if Vergil's going to be one of the main antagonists from the next season, then obviously him and Dante are going to have some really big rumble. The anime seems to continue where the manga left off, because there were supposed to be 3 stories but only 2 were released. There was a Code 1 Dante, a Code 2 Vergil, and there was supposed to be a Code 3 Lady, which was cancelled. But we don't know this, but that could have been the story to reveal the same fate of the 3 characters along with Rabbi himself as the anime showed us. But you know what, even if you never played Devil May Cry and you never watched or read anything of the lore at all, you need not worry, because you can go to this completely Daredevil blind and you'll still be entertained to the highest degree, and you might just find your new thing that you'll be obsessed with, and all I have to say is welcome to the Sparda family. It's great to have you, and now we can all wait an entire year before the next Devil May Cry anime series, if we don't let people ruin it before it gets a chance. We can't let that happen, so let's get everyone informed and up to speed so we can all embrace one of the best series ever. So watch this show with someone you'd share half an amulet with that can open up the demon world and enjoy the best animated series ever made. If you think I'm wrong, then leave a comment below and tell me why. And if you love the series so far, then leave a comment and tell us why you love it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, because I got a lot more Devil May Cry videos coming, and they won't be spoiler free. So buckle up and get ready to get some demon blood in your boots, baby, because this party's about to get crazy. Let's rock, baby.